pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I forgot to bring my jacket.
I'll need some beads around. So we don't do that. Okay.
Okay. Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute the minutes for the meeting of February 2nd, 2016.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler? Commissioner Claypool?
I'm reporting on financials. Would you like me to sit in the desk or can I just stay here?
I have a comment to make, but I'm not going to. So go ahead, Dave.
Okay. Financials for today, Resolution 16-011. Amongst the supplemental appropriation transfers, there was a supplemental appropriation from the Sheriff's Office Commissary Fund for inmate supplies. And there was a supplemental for the dog ward for a vehicle purchase and also a payment to the state of Ohio. And I called on that. I called Matt and said, what is that? I never knew this before. By law, every year when dog licenses are processed, the county has to remit to the Ohio State University 10 cents per dog license for research. That's in the law. So that's an interesting fact to be considered. There's also a supplemental appropriation for Metzenbaum to adjust 2016 salary total permanent appropriation, and a supplemental appropriation for Metzenbaum to adjust contract services to board approved total amount. Cash transfers included a transfer from GFS Children's Services to GFS Public Assistance for December state fiscal year 2016 child welfare admin expenses owed. Encumbrances included travel requests for the Common Pleas Court and the Maintenance Department. Vouchers include a payment to Micro Advantage Inc. for the purchase of a SIP-based aging system for the Board of DD in the amount of $12,340, and a payment to Paul Mullen M&M Home Improvement to perform demo and remodeling of Building 5 in the amount of $17,738.
Make that. Well, I don't have to. Yeah, I do. Yeah, you're reporting. You're her today.
I'm sorry.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
And then I'm reporting on the item that I approved on February 3rd. There's one item, this is authorized by Resolution 16005, pursuant to ORC 305.30. I executed the Ohio motor fuel tax refund claim on behalf of Transit.
That was for the last quarter of last year.
Yep.
Good morning.
It's all about me.
So finally, we have the lease for the West Geauga Plaza, the senior center there. We actually approved this back in October, the RFP, the proposed amount and the place. Laura LaChapelle, myself, and our future landlords have been working on this lease since October 28th. It is very complicated, and our last revision was made last Friday. There is a lot of language in the lease advocating for our landlord, and Laura LaChapelle is absolutely wonderful at making sure that we're not going to be taking any risks whenever we lease somewhere. So it is for 3 years. It is for $46,800 per year. That includes utilities. It is about 7,180 square feet. It's a very open floor plan. There are some renovations that need to be made. They have already installed a new HVAC system, but they are looking to install an additional 2 handicap accessible bathrooms and accommodate our kitchen. So it's a great space, and we look forward to moving. And our current landlords, with the delay We had planned to be in our space February 1st, but due to this very complex lease that needed a lot of attention, our current landlords at Orchard Hills have allowed us to hold over, and we'll do so until we can get in. So our anticipated move-in date is on or about April 1st. Any questions?
I noticed this one paragraph on here is all screwed up. We're gonna have to take this back.
No, no, no. The last revision was made at
Back
3
to
o'clock
Laura,
on Friday,
you're
no
gonna
more.
have
I'm sorry about that.
And it's not even on standard paper, it's very.
Well, it wasn't completing it.
One more.
I'm glad it's come to this. So when do we get to move in?
So on or about April 1st will be our grand opening date. They're really good. They said that we can start trickling our belongings over even now as they do some renovations. So we'll be slowly moving, and we do need to contract with the moving company, as we do have appliances, ovens, and stoves, and a large kiln that we need to take. So we'll
Are people excited about this?
I think a lot of people are. The floor plan, it's very flat, it's very open, it's very bright. The parking lot is flat as well, so that makes it very, very accessible for people. Right now, it's a love, the scenery, I mean, unfortunately, we can't pick that up and take that with us. But certainly a flat parking lot in the open spaces are a lot better than two different buildings, which we occupy right now, and some sloped parking spaces.
Wasn't there some issue that a couple days a year they use that for like Christmassy?
They have a trick or treat night.
Okay.
They have a trick or treat night, which does not affect us, and I believe they have a township meeting in the evening. So there were 3 days, I think, of Christmas, trick or treat, and a township meeting, all occur after our business hours. The only thing they ask to do is if they could put decorations in the window, and that's fine with us. Other than that, we have exclusive use, and we don't have to break our supplies down and put them back up day in and day out.
And their hours are unlimited. I mean, if you have an event that you want to put on in the evening,
Correct, we do have
Do
some
it.
flexibility, correct. There's no one else in that space, it is exclusively ours. So if we do decide that we need to do an evening program or do some different hours to accommodate the public, we do have that flexibility now where we really didn't before.
and they handle snow removal,
They do, they handle all the snow removal,
salting of the
correct.
area.
Correct, and their maintenance is on site as well. There are two brothers, the one does a lot of the business side, and the other brother
The
does a lot of
two
the
I met
renovation.
when we went back,
They
like in
were.
October or
They
whatever
were,
it was.
yeah.
Long ago.
I couldn't
Long
pick,
ago.
yeah, I couldn't pick them out of the lineup, but I know I met them. That was 6 months ago.
Yeah, so they do handle all the snow removal, trash removal as well. They have the trash service.
I'm just
I
wagging
can almost-
my head
I
at the
could almost
contract, so.
go through it word by word at this point. Could memorize it.
Interesting country. I'm gonna give Ralph a chance to get back, so, because he's gotta weigh in on this, I'm sure. It's gonna be in a good location, even from a security standpoint. I mean, Patterson's, well, it's a great place, and it's more remote and tougher from a security standpoint. If something happens, if somebody's gotta respond, from an emergency response standpoint, all that kind of stuff. So it's gonna be a good location.
It's a great location.
I'm looking forward to being open and seeing all the traffic that's going, all the folks that work in and out there, so. All right, we're ready. Go ahead.
The Department on Aging is requesting the board approve and authorize the president and board to execute the lease between the Geauga County Board of Commissioners for the Department on Aging and West Geauga Plaza LLC for the West Geauga Senior Center for a 3-year period, April 1st, 2016 through March 31st, 2019, in the amount of $3,900 per month, $46,800 per year, which includes rent and utilities excluding sewer.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your, can I do this with limited effort in trying to get it?
Yeah.
So it's
It
not-
just is a slam dunk, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't easy. Thank you.
Go ahead and sign it.
How are you today?
From over there.
Yeah.
Fine, thank you.
Right.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Thanks for your patience with me. Right.
Oh, no.
I if they're okay, they want to explore the different
I've been bugging Kelly and Anita, asking them a bunch of tough questions, so, and they always do such a good job.
We tried. Number 5, this is housekeeping for the state for our grants that we're doing in our projects this year. The number 4 and 5 are both for BF15. Number 4 is for the van that we're going to help purchase for the Department on Aging. I'm sorry, number
5 and 6.
Yeah, 5 and
right?
6. And number 5 is for the van that we're going to help purchase for Department on Aging to help seniors go from their doctor's appointments out of county. That these certificate of exemptions are just basically stating that there is no environmental restrictions or barriers to any of our projects. Obviously, buying a van, there's no environmental or historic issues, so we're sending that in. Do you want me to do them both together, Chris? Number 6 is for the other 2 projects. We're going to be helping reside 2 homes for the Maple Leaf residences. And that also has no impact on historical preservation or environmental review. If both the houses are past that age where we don't have to worry about lead or anything like that. And the last one is, or I'm sorry, the other, I always forget we get 4 projects this year. The airport will be doing the ADA renovations of their restrooms and their entryway. And again, we're not changing the outside of the structure at all, we're just changing the inside to make it ADA accessible, so there's no impact on that. The maintenance department will be doing the ADA entryways, where we're going to be putting in mechanisms so the entryways can be ADA accessible with the push mark. And that again has no impact on environmental or historic preservation, and that's what these are.
The Office of Community and Economic Development is requesting the board approve and authorize the president and the board to execute the Ohio Development Services Agency certification of exempt project under grant BF 151AZ1 for the Department on Aging for a handicapped accessible vehicle in the amount of $40,000. The Office of Community and Economic Development is requesting the board approve and authorize the president and board to execute the Ohio Development Services Agency certifications of determination of subsequent exemption for a categorical exclusion project under grant BF 151AZ1 in regards to the project for the Airport Authority in the amount of $31,300, the project for the Geauga County Maintenance Department in the amount of $53,800, and the project for Maple Leaf Community Residences in the amount of $12,500.
I'll make those motions.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Aye. Yeah, it's okay. We don't want to talk about that yesterday, so I'm okay with that.
The Office of Community and Economic Development is requesting the board reappoint the following members to the Geauga County Fair Housing Committee for a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2017. Derek Adams, Susan Fisher, Lucinda Shelf Gates. The Office of Community and Economic Development is requesting the board appoint the following members to the Geauga County Fair Housing Committee for a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2017. Alfred Thompson, Ronald Webb, Nancy Lear, and Eva Rogers.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Thank you.
Morning, Bill. Good morning. This for you, this was a letter that on vehicle grants and stuff for safety vehicles and that. We thought I'd take that with you, read it if there's something of interest with that.
On that, I called the sheriff and you got because he didn't get a letter as of this morning. He said it came via email for.
Same thing.
That same thing came to directors or department heads via email. Came to us individually, and so, I mean, you may go back and peruse your email. It may come in today, I'm not sure when it arrived, but Dan said he just.
I never remember seeing it. Thank you. This is our yearly grant between the commissioners, are the contractual overseers of our agency, but we do a yearly agreement with the local emergency planning committee to provide what
up this probably mid-year, so it won't stay at 7,500, but I couldn't with conscience ask them for the full amount based on
Yeah, the working right now, yeah.
so
Yeah.
that will increase, so that's the reason for the reduction. And, I'm open to any questions.
Good, Bill?
The Department of Emergency Services is requesting the board approve and authorize the president and the board to execute an agreement between the Department of Emergency Services under the Geauga County Board of Commissioners and the Geauga County Local Emergency Planning Committee, LEPC, to provide the following services to LEPC: administrative support, emergency response coordinator if elected by the Geauga LEPC, permanent secretarial treasurer responsibilities, information coordinator if elected by the Geauga LEPC, compliance, plan development, and exercising grant applications, training, and the maintaining of all required chemical filing forms and records in the amount of $7,500 for the year 2016.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler? Commissioner Claypool?
Hi, before Dale leaves, I wanted to make the board aware of something. We've been talking to the Solid Waste Management District about trying to get us a permanent or a site here for hazardous waste collection. We've had that conversation at this table. Having a little trouble getting that off the nut with the guys in waste management guys, so I asked Dale and Roger to help. They have a direct relationship because of their knowledge and awareness of all the materials that we'll be collecting, that kind of stuff. So I asked Dale to help coordinate a get-together to help to move that ball forward, and he's agreed to do that, so.
Yeah. Trying to coordinate with Christie sometimes, and I was thinking about inviting the Lake County solid waste person, because they do their own, maybe you'll get some straight answers. Is that something?
I don't think anybody's input on it. I mean, right now, the holdup tends to be, I've asked for a proposal from the solid waste management guys, because they have a company called Stericycle that handles all of their waste. So they actually are on site, they bring in chemists, they take care of the process and so on and so forth. What they gave me was less than adequate in terms of a proposal. And so, given that we need to move this thing forward, I don't want it to linger too long. I need people with expertise beyond what I have in terms of solid waste, or the hazardous waste management, how you do it, whether in the particulars, so on and so forth. Because I have an interest in maybe even extending that and being able to have more collection sites if possible for those things that are not truly hazardous, like latex paint, that kind of stuff. So I needed people with more expertise to help move this ball along, and sometimes bureaucracies are a little slow in moving. So with Dale's help and Roger's help, I think maybe we'll be able to expedite this process and get it figured out and done.
We're trying to get it set up as soon as possible, but,
You know, you're welcome to come on the 23rd. What's our meeting for solid waste? If you want, you can come to our board
Yeah,
meeting.
it's gonna be the 23rd. I was waiting to hear back
Back to
from.
that too, Dale, if you wanted to.
I mean, Dale knows
Somebody, yeah.
Craig and
yeah, we've been dealing with Craig, and you've been dealing with higher-ups, and, you know, I went over the last proposal that I had heard at the last commissioners meeting. I don't know if that's changed, but it just doesn't seem like one pickup a year is enough for Geauga County. It's ridiculous based on what you're paying, and I guess Geauga County's a big user of it. So.
Oh, yeah. We have that, you know, it's a huge pickup. They pick up volumes and stuff, and the numbers make sense. They agree. Solid waste is not disagreeing. They want to help us. They want to move it. I'm not sure that they know how to get it off the nut. So you'll help us to move that along, and I'm sure we'll
get on that this
This
week.
just should not be that complicated. It should be pretty straightforward. Identify a site, get it configured, and get it done.
I would think so.
Thanks, I appreciate your help on that.
Hello, Nick.
Good morning.
Morning, Ed.
This morning, just have the load reduction on the county and township roads, 33% reduction due to frost, you know, the release of the frost when it comes out to protect the road subbase. So, here to ask you to enact it to be effective February 16th, 2016 to be signed.
Typically, when is the, I mean, you can't say, I guess, when it ends. You guys just examine the roads and then you put signs up, right? And then
Correct.
the signs come down.
Correct. Yeah, we'll place the signs. Usually, you know, it depends on the weather, the winter. You know, last
Right.
year's winter was long. The frost was deep. You know, so
This year, not so much.
Not so much. So that we actually were contemplating even enacting this year because of the temperature ranges that we've had. So, but we chose shows based on recommendations from Joe, looking at it, and then our highway superintendent saying, this is what we're seeing out there.
It's soft though.
Yeah. So, but with it going up and down, the road is soft, and we want to protect it, so.
The county engineer's office is requesting the board approve the reduction by 33% to the maximum load limit permitted on all county and township roads effective February 16, 2016, in accordance with section 5577.07 of the Ohio Revised Code. This reduction is necessary to minimize damage to the roads during periods of freezing thaw and excessive moisture.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Let me use this opportunity, but Shane's here too, and I apologize to the board for bringing some of these extraneous things. But I gotta thank Joe and I'm not sure, I believe it was Nick that provided this information on road projects, or no, it was Shane.
Probably Shane, I don't know.
Shane.
Information.
We've not been funded by NOACA this year for road projects, and I had a conversation with ODOT about that to find out why that was, because in the past, traditionally, we've received funding, and we're not this year, 2016. And so ODOT's take on that was that we had not submitted projects, and so it must have been Shane that submitted them. I forgot to look at the name at the top of the list, but submitted those to ODOT to say, these are the projects we've submitted. I don't understand why our projects are not being funded. And so ODOT's now looking at that, and they're gonna get back to the powers that be and figure out what's up with all that. But I appreciate you guys responding with that, so that we can figure out what's going on with the funding process through the WAC organization. So I appreciate it. Just carry that message.
I will
to Shane
let
and
Joe
Joe
and
for me.
Shane
So
know.
they did that pretty quickly, so I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Morning, Gary.
Good morning.
Hey Garrett, how you doing?
Good.
Good, good.
Yeah, first item here for us is approval of unpaid leave for Rob Edmonds. He's a maintenance worker, hired him back in, I think it was August or September. He's actually got an operator one license. He's right now our full-time fill-in operator, but he was hired, and he's still currently in his probationary period, which comes to an end, I think, at the end of this month. So, but he was looking to take a vacation in end of May, beginning of June, and he won't have his full year in by then. So he's quality employee, so I don't have any issue with giving him an unpaid leave of absence for that period of time.
The Department of Water Resources is requesting the board approve an unpaid leave of absence for Rob Edmonds, maintenance worker, for up to 40 hours for the period May 30th, 2016 through June 3rd, 2016.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Aye.
Next item here is our Troy Oaks replacement, converting it to a pump station and pump up the force main across the causeway to our Auburn Corners plant. This is for the engineering for GPD to do the design for the pump station and the upgrades at the Auburn plant. When we hired them initially, we just hired them to do the force main across the causeway. The concern was if we ran into something, we didn't want to have hired an engineer to do a full set of plans, and then when we went out and paid for the force main, something happened, and we have a set of plans that just sits in the file forever, because we'll never be able to build the force main at the plant. So this is, they did the force main, we got underneath, the portion underneath Ladue in the fall with precise boring, and they'll be out in the spring to finish the rest of that, but that was the most difficult part, so we're looking to approve GPD to do the design. This price, just under 266,000, that includes their design, and then if we want to use them for construction administration, when we go forward bidding, the EPA fees and inspections. So that isn't just the design for the pump station and force main. That portion for the design is actually around just under 137,000.
So the boring's done?
Just the portion underneath Ladue, the most difficult part. The rest of it's all gonna be in the causeway. But the portion that they did down under the reservoir, we're about 6 feet below the bottom of it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Just where the bridge is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, how thick is the sediment underneath there? I mean, you said you went down 6 feet, is there?
It's, there's 6 feet below that, yeah, that's below what was surveyed as the, I mean, when they did the surveying, they actually went out and pushed the rod as far down as they could to get what the solid base was, so it's 6 feet below that.
6 feet below
Because
the
I don't know how-
solid base, not the muck.
I don't know how,
So-
yeah, I don't know how big the, how much sediment
That
there
is
is.
just
What size is the pipe? I think you do. I asked you this
Yeah,
before.
the force main is 6 inch, the pipe that goes under Ladue is 10 inch.
Yeah, it's a
and we
double
put the
wall,
6
right?
inch through
The
that.
6 inches through
Yeah.
that, 10 inch.
So if anything, if anything ever did hit the 10 inch, they'd only be hitting the outside, but we actually did parallel lines underneath Ladue, so that if something ever did happen to one, we could quickly flip it over to the other without any long-term loss of service.
Imagine it's gonna be marked on the waterway by some sign or something.
Yes.
I mean, I've been on
Where it's
boats
gonna-
where, you know, it's a buried cable or underwater cable or something.
It'll be marked in the, where it's in the reservoir, or not in the reservoir, but in the causeway.
Right, right.
The little red flags like you see down the side.
Well, actually, you'll see, there'll be green fiberglass, sit about 4 feet above grade. They'll be there, so.
Jerry, how do you, to get out to the middle of the causeway, you gotta bore under the eastbound lane of 422.
We'll actually be
At
boring.
both ends.
Yeah, they'll be boring under the eastbound and westbound lane on both sides, because the sewer line is actually on the north side of 422.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
In the
Oh.
berm on the north side.
Oh.
ODOT did, we wanted to be in the middle, but ODOT didn't want us to be in the middle in case they ever needed to widen 422 to 6 lanes, that would be where they would widen in the middle,
In the
so they didn't
center.
want to have the force main under that
Sure.
if they ever needed to.
So it's along the, which side of the, it's gonna be along, on the outside of the?
It'll be on the north
causeway?
side, just on the
Yeah.
north side of the guardrail.
Oh.
That's where you, yeah, that's where you went under the water on the north side.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Okay, good.
The Department of Water Resources is requesting the board approve and execute the contract maintenance form number 1, increasing the contract with GPD Group Incorporated for additional engineering to upgrade Auburn Corners wastewater treatment plant for the Troy Oaks wastewater treatment plant conversion project in the amount of $265,600.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Next item is a quantity change order for our Thompson project for the vacuum sewer portion. This is making some final adjustments to, there was a couple additional pits that were purchased in order for us to have as backups in case we ever needed them, or as if anybody, some of the vacant land up there got developed, we could put those in. And then we eliminated a couple of the valves that were in the system that were just on the long runs. So this is just finalizing that. There will be at least one more change order for both, well, either for contract A or contract B for the liquidated damages, because they went over their deadline for finishing getting us. We do have 5 properties tied in there. I've gotten calls from several property owners asking, what information on it, but I still, they're all been given till August 1st to get tied in. So I don't imagine anybody else will be tying in until at least the spring, May. But Parkman is a good example of July would be a very busy month for tie-ins up there.
They don't have everything. The Department of Water Resources is requesting the board approve and authorize the president and the board to execute change order number 2, increasing contract fee with Envirocon Construction Incorporated for the Thompson Township Sewer Project for additional vacuum pits and reduction of isolation valves in the amount of $8,252.49.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Rea?
Aye.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Claypool?
Thank you, Jerry.
Hey, Jerry.
Jerry, are you gonna be around yet this morning?
Yes, that should be.
I wanna talk to you about something.
Okay. I should be there.
I'm first.
Yeah, solid waste is not on the schedule yet, because I'm waiting for confirmation to come back that Trumbull County is able to do 2:30. And then once that's on there, then I'll make sure that the public viewing and public hearing and all that fun stuff.
For Parkman, yeah.
I was kind of waiting to see what we were doing. To give you an update, Mark Dolezal attended the Parkland Township Trustees meeting, and an agreement was reached between the lodge and the owner, Mr. Kristoff, of the building for a private agreement that was reached between the two of them, giving them access to do their maintenance that they were requesting. So Parkland has agreed to move forward with the vacation as it was standing. So we will be moving forward with the process that we started.
Okay. Now, is that gonna be something, the agreement that they've got, that it's gonna actually be recorded?
It will have to be recorded.
Because
Yes, it will have to be in a recorded easement that will
Right.
be done. That's what I was talking to Laura about yesterday. And that
that'll
will
be a headache if we do this and then all of a sudden they have odds.
Right, because if somebody ever sells,
Right, it's gotta be on the
that
property.
has to be on the property,
Yeah.
so, but that is not on, that will not be as part of what we are doing as part of vacation. We, there are some things that Andy is looking at that he will raise when we get to the viewing and the hearing in regards to a possible turnaround, because the township does plow Norton Street to the vacated portion. And at this point, I think that they use the alley to turn around because of the width of Norton Street. So that's something that we will have to bring up when we get to that point. But that's it.
I move to adjourn.
So moved.
Anybody who's interested, the planning commission meeting has been